Welcome to the final module as part of the SciTech Testing Certificate. This module will look at professional issues in testing and using the Genesys system online. We will consider the professional and ethical issues in test use and the Genesys user's responsibilities in relation to these. You will gain an understanding of the respondent's rights and expectations, consider confidentiality issues, and describe the causes and implications of test contamination. We will start by looking at professional issues in testing. When it comes to the professional issues which we will discuss, please bear in mind that this section of the module has been based on the codes of practice published by the British Psychological Society and the International Testing Commission and the legal framework in the United Kingdom. Whilst the codes of practice from the BPS and ITC are generally seen as applicable guidance internationally, there are different legal frameworks in various countries which might influence these in a different way to the legal framework in the UK. As we progress through this module, you should consider the issues in the context of your own local environment and any different legal frameworks that might be in operation. It is important for all those who are involved in test use to be fully aware of their professional and ethical responsibilities. As an assistant test user, you will usually be working with a test user with ability or test user with personality trained user. As it is only they who can purchase test materials generally, they will be primarily responsible for the company policy which deals with the confidentiality of results, records, and generally the security of test materials. However, it is essential that an assistant test user is familiar with the issues here. One of the major responsibilities of assistant test users is gaining informed consent, as we discussed during the feedback module. The BPS code states that it is the test user's responsibility to clearly inform the test taker about purpose, procedure, duration, and likely outcomes. Psychometric tests should always be administered under standardised conditions. We know that this is important for reliability. Unless the administration is supervised, there is no way of ensuring that the respondent has been adequately briefed, has completed the test on their own, and has not copied the tests for the next time that he or she may face the same measure. Even if your application is not for selection, the very same test may be used by other employers for this purpose. We've also learned in the feedback module when it is important to be sensitive when delivering feedback. The BPS code states that the competent test user ensures security of respondent data consistent with data protection legislation. There are very good reasons why this issue should be taken seriously other than basic ethical or legal principles. Test results should remain confidential for 3 reasons. They are private and it is therefore inappropriate to communicate them to other persons who do not have some good and well-intentioned reason for knowing them. There is the possibility of misuse or abuse by others. This might be as simple as someone making an inappropriate decision in relation to a person whose test results he or she happens to know, but in fact misunderstands, or as sinister as one person making use of another's test results to exert pressure upon that person for his or her own malevolent needs. It is therefore important that the company should have a clear policy regarding who needs to know in relation to any given set of test results, and to ensure that those results are passed only to those who need to know and who are also able to interpret them. Otherwise, test records should be kept securely at all times. Physical records should be kept in a locked filing cabinet, and computerized data should be available only by password or by some other secure system of access. Whilst you may keep the information confidential yourself, the person to whom you pass on the information may not realise the importance of confidentiality as you will. It is therefore your responsibility to ensure that all recipients of test-derived information have been made aware that it is indeed strictly confidential. The BPS Code of Test Practice also notes that test users should store materials securely, restricting access to trained users, and they should make arrangements for the safe transfer of materials when leaving an organisation. Assistant test users obviously have responsibilities here in relation to both of these issues. It is essential that test materials do not get into the wrong hands. Again, there are a number of reasons for this, as follows. Tests may be used by untrained staff that will be likely to make incorrect and inappropriate interpretations. There is the possibility that the test booklets and answer sheets, if using paper-based, may be seen by people whom you may want to test at a later date. Illegal photocopying of test materials can undermine the integrity of the test. Contamination of test materials can occur by showing or discussing test questions or strategies with another respondent. For these reasons, it is regarded as good practice not to engage in such discussions with respondents or those who do not have appropriate reasons for access to materials. We also know that technical data should be removed from reports before submission to clients, and that reports should be contextualised for the assessment scenario in order to ensure that they are appropriately. It is important to maintain professional standards in computer-based testing. The major issues in computer-based testing involve username and password security and authenticating the respondent online during unsupervised access. As professional users, we need to maintain control over the security of usernames and passwords in terms of where we store them and how and when we share them. We should also be aware of the difficulties of respondent authentication for unsupervised internet-based administration. It can be advisable to verify results gained in unsupervised assessment through further testing or other methods when identity can be verified. As and when using paper-based materials, the lack of security leads to the risk of test contamination through the dissemination of materials, discussion of answers, and a strategy to approach the test, and ultimately this could lead to the invalidation of valid tests. To help avoid this, as test users, we should restrict access to test materials, keep them stored securely when not in use, and not allow any photocopying of the materials. The key points here are that the BPS and ITC standards are there to protect both test takers and test users and must therefore be followed. As Genesys users, we have responsibilities to uphold these standards, plus other standards that might apply in a local setting. As a Genesys user, there is more that can be done to fully understand the system. There is a follow-up exercise to complete after this module, and prior to doing so, you should review all the training videos stored at this link. Some of these will be new to you, others you will have viewed before. It is a useful refresher to look at these videos a second time. Together they will provide you with greater confidence in using Genesys, and if in doubt you can always call your nearest SciTech office. To summarise this final module, we have considered the test user's responsibilities in upholding the BPS and ITC standards. Once you have watched the training videos, you will have gained some additional understanding of the Genesys system. You will now complete 2 exercises as a follow-up to this module. In Workbook 4, you should now complete the Module 7 follow-up exercises. The first exercise is related to the professional and ethical issues and will help you to show your competence in identifying and addressing these types of issues in test taking. The second exercise will further help to increase your comfort and understanding of the Genesys system. Once you have completed your Module 7 exercises and the reflection questions, you should then complete the final course assessment, also found in Workbook 4. It is the successful completion of this that will determine whether or not you have passed this course and can become a certified SciTech user. You will also find a course feedback form in Workbook number 4 to complete, and this is useful for us at SciTech. Finally, if you wish to become registered with the British Psychological Society as an assistant test user, please request the forms to enable this.